I'll say that again. We learn who we are, we learn what we are, we optimize what we are to deliver who we are to our society. I believe that's the universal mission of humanity. Now, if you build your business on that, the first place you need to start is know thyself. You've all heard this phrase on the Temple of Diana in Greece, know thyself. Now, know thyself has been something like most of us introduce ourselves as, well, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a software programmer and I have a company. And that's who I am. Well, that's fine. That's a social role. And then below that, well, I'm a father and I'm a husband and I've been have this background and experience. And that's more social and more personal. But it has nothing to do with who you are in our terms. To know yourself is to understand what energy you are choosing to be at this moment in time. Are you going to be the power and accessible force moving forward? Are you the presence of love and relationships and inspiration? Are you the presence of wisdom and problem solving and assessment? Or are you the presence of knowledge and information and conservation and willing to provide that information to other people? Where are you in that spectrum? What part of the energy is you? You have to know this about yourself if you're going to be an effective leader. And you have to be aware of it as you walk down the corridor of your office. And think about what aspect of yourself is going to be most effective when you walk into the room. Because you are the one who decides, and you decide either consciously or unconsciously. And most of us do this stuff by rote, like we were trained by our parents to live our life. Do you really want to live your life the way your parents trained you to live it? Do you? My process is to help people reclaim their life, own who they really are, and put themselves in the place of highest and best contribution. So, we learn who you are, and then the next stage is to optimize your skills and talents. So, if you look at your life as you are living it right now, you should ask yourself the question, how much of my day is spent learning how to be a better contributor tomorrow? Because a certain aspect of your life and your job should be putting you in a position where you're stretched, where you're uncomfortable, where you have to reach out and dig down in order to accomplish what you're setting out to accomplish. You're working at the leading edge of learning how to be a better participant, a more skilled, talented worker. Fair enough? At the same time, we want you to be aware of who you are that is trying to make the contribution through these skills. So the final step is to contribute who you are to your society. So how many of you are currently business owners? Let me see your hand. Oh, a large number, almost half it looks like. And how many of you expect to be one in the next 2 or 3 years? All right, the rest of us, right? Okay, great, great. Well, you are setting out to do one of the most difficult things there is to do, or you're already involved in it. According to statistics, about 90% of all businesses last less than 5 years. And I've been in the world out here for the last 20 years doing turnarounds and business optimization, and I know that there are 250 businesses that probably wouldn't be in existence now if we hadn't done our work with them. So most of the work, however, is what I'm just talking about now. It's working with the owner, with the entrepreneur, and getting you more capable, more able, more conscious, more aware, more willing to make the choices you need to make. My clients typically say, I learned more from you, Lynn, in a shorter amount of time than anything I've ever done before. And boy, am I glad it's over. And why? Because as a manager, as somebody who has had to make these decisions, I have learned that the only thing I do as a business leader is make other people uncomfortable. That is my job. I don't hire a manager unless I know that they're willing to make their employees, their team members, uncomfortable. Somebody every day. Why? Because the only thing that I need from a leader or a manager is that that person causes somebody to do something different than they were going to do before the manager walked into their life. Otherwise, what good is a manager? Why do you need them? And we as people, you think about yourself. Do you change before you get uncomfortable, before you are paying too high a price for staying as you are, before you feel a little bit of angst about the fact you're not succeeding? We all are creatures here, and we basically change mostly because we're uncomfortable. When we're comfortable, we sit back and just keep doing what we want to do. So the other part of yourself to think about as I go through this is, how ready are you, how willing are you, should you put yourself in a position of leadership where this is part of the requirement? Because working with people is one of the most difficult things you can do. Managing people is one of the most difficult things to do. Because the first thing you have to do is manage yourself. And as I sometimes have to say to my clients, control yourself. Okay, a little more tough talk here. We have learned, we've studied over 700 companies, we've done 1,700 top performer profiles, human capital audits, and in this work, in every kind of industry, every size and nature of industry, every kind of position, we have found that only about 13% of all performers are rated as A performers in their job at this time. Now that can be in a small group where you've got 5 people who make up the whole company, or it can be in a 14,400 brokers at Merrill Lynch, all doing the same quote-unquote work. Only about 13% are rated as A performers. And another 21% or so, for a total of 35%, are A and B performers. So the B performers may be 20%. Now this is my client's judgment, not mine. This is how they rated their people. My numbers say 10% at the top, 15%, and a lot smaller number at the top. But this statistically is how our clients, after we work with them, have rated their people. 30% are C performers. Look at the number for D players. Now, what we've learned to do in our turnaround work is identify the A and B players, and everything we do is to honor those people. And you don't honor your A and B players by keeping the D performers on the team. And you don't honor yourself. So part of what you are stepping up for when you have your own business is to learn to claim your right to have the team, to have the players, to have the success, and make tough choices, even when it comes to having to make tough decisions on people who aren't supporting the mission, the plan, and your expectations. The better way is to hire the right person in the first place. We're going to talk about that. But what we found is that 80% of all the work, sometimes 90%, all the contribution of every team is done by the A and B performers. The C performers make a nominal contribution, kind of breaking even. And the D players, most people keep on because they believe they're making a break even. But what we have found, and we've proven, is that the D players don't make any contribution at all. In fact, they subtract between 3 and 5 times their direct burdened labor cost from the productivity of everyone else.